Welcome. It's Cryptic Codex. I'm Joey. We're going to go through some weird and creepy TikToks. Let's do it.
I'm gonna try and do good with my gifting and pray to the Lord for some wisdom. Pray. Hopefully someone will listen.
There's what they call Omicron configuration, where the craft is using one generator, or Delta configuration, where it's utilizing all three. Delta configuration would be for space travel. Essentially, the craft will tilt up on its side, focus the three gravity generators to a single point, and move through space that way. And as opposed to what we're used to, for instance, a plane, once it's in the air, we envision thrust or some force coming out the back of it to push it forward. The crafts work completely opposite of that. Is once they're hovering in the air, they'll swing the two remaining gravity generators up in front of them and create a distortion, essentially a downhill, and the craft rolls downhill for infinity. That's why they look goofy when they fly around at low speed. The gravity field around the Earth is not completely constant and stable, depending on the minerals and density of the Earth underneath it. So its low speed mode is kind of unstable for the most part.
Bob Lazar, his story has not changed in almost 30 years.
You know, we have two people up there that Biden and Kamala left up there, and he knows it very well. I said, "Are you equipped to get him?" He said, "Yeah, he's got a Starship, and they're preparing it right now." And so Elon is going to go up and get him. Should I go on that journey just to be on the ship when we stop?
If that's an option, yes.
I should do it. Oh, that's terrible. I thought he liked me. I thought, Maria, should I do it?
Well, you should then come.
Maria likes me better.
You should then come back from space.
Well, when they come back, I'll greet them. How about that? No, we're going to get him out. I've authorized Elon Musk to go and get him.
Why can't NASA bring them back? I swear NASA took them there.
Eiffel Tower's true purpose is far different than we've been told. Most think of it as a symbol of Parisian pride and a marvel of the industrial age, but what if it was designed with something much more revolutionary in mind? In 1889, as Paris prepared for the World's Fair, the Eiffel Tower rose over the city, seemingly a mere engineering showcase. Yet Nikola Tesla, the visionary who pioneered wireless energy, was in Paris around that time, and he met with Gustave Eiffel himself. Imagine this. Tesla shared his vision of free wireless electricity for all, a way to power the world without wires, a leap that could shake the foundations of industry. Reports suggest Eiffel didn't just listen, but wove Tesla's ideas into his tower's design. Those intricate metal beams, they weren't just for aesthetics. The structure's unique shape might have acted as a massive antenna. And this is where things grow stranger. During its construction, there were eerie reports, strange lights, unexplained electrical phenomena, even sparks that locals swore appeared around the tower at night. Newspapers hinted at experiments happening in the shadows, mysterious trials that no one could quite explain. Could this be why the Eiffel Tower's story was altered?
So was that France's attempt at free energy?
When I first saw the phenomenon, I was like, holy shit.
But then it was actually like, whoa, what is happening?
Am I losing my mind? But then I showed other people, and things kept getting weirder.
Just for the record, I haven't told him anything. Okay, just tell me what you see.
Oh my God, come on.
Wow, what the fuck? Holy shit. I just saw something. Yeah. What the fuck?
Oh, I see that. I feel it.
I've been under the influence of mind-altering substances a lot, but I've never seen anything like that. Whoa.
I showed over 100 people, and I kept asking myself, how are all of us seeing the same thing?
Oh my God. It's changing shapes right there.
The laser was revealing numbers and letters running in a pattern.
Pyramids like this big here, and it looks like code.
It looked like programming code.
It's definitely saying something, and I just want to take a picture of it and translate it.
Wow. You see that? Okay, so yeah, it's not stuck.
No.
It's not because of the light.
No, it's on its own side. Light is just literally revealing it.
And each angle shows you different layers, different ways through it.
I could see through the wall. It's not like a hallucination. It has spatial awareness and permanence. I don't know. Whoa.
For centuries,
There's this thing, it's called the friendship case. Have you ever heard of this?
No.
The story's so weird and bizarre, really hard to believe. In 1956, there was these Italian men apparently found this map of this castle that was close to them. They got there, and these two, they said they looked like humans, but they weren't. One of them was 10 feet tall, and the other one was 3 feet tall.
Stooges.
They were aliens. They went by W56. But apparently these alien people, they have these underground bases, they said. They've been here for centuries. They even have bases in the ocean. Their whole purpose of being on Earth is to save humanity from themselves, especially regarding nuclear bombs.
Yeah, fair.
But apparently there's 100 witnesses to these people. And there's photo evidence and video evidence of them showing them their flying saucers. But they said the only way that their technology works is if there is friendship and love.
What?
So like, if we're not experiencing love within humanity or friendship or compassion, they said our technology doesn't work.
That's really cute.
It's like Santa's sleigh.
But they said that there's another group of aliens that have been here since they've been here, the CTR, basically their enemies. And it says they are described as materialistic and strictly scientific, more cold and calculated. Witnesses have depicted the CTR as human-like, often bald, and seen driving dark Mercedes limousines in Italy, reminiscent of the Men in Black phenomena reported elsewhere.
Crazy.
Yeah.
As crazy as that sounds, doesn't it make sense that the kind of evil stuff that's pushed in today's world is potentially keeping us from some sort of spiritual or even technological awakening?
Kevin Hart just ruined his career. Dude worked like crazy to get where he is, and now he's about to lose it all because he's spiraling out of control. For those who didn't know, Kevin just shut down all 4 locations of his restaurant, Hart House. And trust me, that ain't no coincidence. Kevin's big on wild parties, loves that scene. You can even find a video online where he's live commentating on what he's doing at one of those parties. Always surrounded by bikini-clad girls and other stuff. It never caused issues before. But what you see at the end of that video, right before it cuts off, is seriously shocking. Go check it out if you dare. Word is Kevin's wife is thinking about divorcing him because she got her hands on a video from one of those crazy parties. And trust me, she did not like what she saw. It was straight up wild. Even more recently, Kevin did an interview explaining why he's beefing with Cat Williams. He said it started over some drama with Tiffany Haddish or something like that. But nah, that ain't the real story. Now you know the real reason behind the beef. Stay tuned. I'll keep you posted as this whole thing unfolds. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and hit that like button because things are getting seriously crazy.
They know something we don't.
So now that we know that the elite are actually eating mermaids for dinner, let me tell you another scary theory that I just recently heard about mermaids here on TikTok. This theory is about women who perform BBL or other cosmetically altering procedures on their bodies. A creator on this app said that when you perform unnecessary physically altering surgeries on your body, such as a BBL, lip fillers, she says that when you get on the table and you shed blood and you shed fat and you shed your flesh, you are literally giving a sacrifice to fit the mermaid Jezebel spirit aesthetic, and that is who you're making your sacrifice to. And in turn, you end up possessed by a highly seductive Jezebel spirit that you will carry with you until you repent and are delivered. When she was saying all of this, it really made a lot of sense on why a lot of people who get BBLs or get the same type of procedures all look the same, they all talk the same, they all act the same, they all dress the same, they all post these same type of pictures because at the end of the day, they got these procedures so that they could be seductive. You wanted to be sexier, but at what cost? You are willing to lay down on a table and possibly die to conform to the unrealistic standards that have been set by society that you never wanted until you realized that everyone else did. This also explains why so many people struggle with depression, anxiety, and health issues after having these type of surgeries performed on their bodies. How many women have you seen tell their horror stories of all of the mental issues that they went through to the point where they actually had their injections, their butt implants, whatever it is, taken out? It's because humans were never meant to start performing these type of surgeries on ourselves. And if you ever feel the urge to get a BBL or some type of other spirit, just remember that that is a worldly demon preying on your mind, giving you mental warfare, trying to get you to give in and give up what God gave you. Let me know what you think down below in the comments.
That's a hot take. I'm not sure about that.
Dude, did you see the ship?
Yes, with the laser.
Yeah. This is actually a thing now. They released a clip of the ship firing the Helios laser weapon, and apparently it's able to disarm, and one is like completely annihilate. It's literally a laser off the front of the ship. The lower mode will short circuit like electronics, which they've had that tech for a long time. They've talked about being able to disarm bombs from satellites and stuff. But what's crazy is this thing is a full-blown Death Star looking thing.
Like the DEWs we've been talking about.
So it could blow something up if it got like overheated.
Oh, yeah. It's high enough too to where I don't think you're like overheating it. I think you're just going, oh.
Damn.
One of the most asked questions here is who filmed the craft leaving the moon in 1972? Who filmed the Apollo 17 lunar module leaving the moon? NASA says it was a Westinghouse color TV camera mounted on the lunar rover and remotely controlled from Earth. This happened in 1972 during the final Apollo mission. According to NASA, an operator at Mission Control in Houston anticipated the launch, manually tilting the camera upwards to follow the ascent, despite a 1.3-second delay in signals between Earth and the Moon. But here's where things don't add up. How did a NASA operator perfectly track a rocket launch with 1970s technology and a delay? Even modern space feeds struggle with lag today. If the camera had a pre-programmed movement, why don't we see this level of precision in modern space missions? And what about the lunar dust? Why wasn't there a massive cloud kicked up by the engine blast? Then there's the power source. The camera was battery-powered, using silver zinc batteries. But how did they survive the extreme lunar temperatures and function flawlessly at the exact right moment? And what happened after the lunar module left? NASA says the camera kept broadcasting for about 4 minutes before they lost the signal. Forever. They never got that signal back. No more live footage was ever transmitted from the moon. No other camera was left running, and we've never seen high-quality continuous footage of the moon after Apollo ended. Convenient? And the final point, just look at it, please. Look at it. So, was this an incredible technical achievement or something else?
This footage has aged so badly. It looks like an old Star Wars movie.
The greatest trick is to make us believe that people back then were dumber and we're smarter.
Right.
And that whole thing is a fallacy.
I think we are the children of the survivors of some great catastrophe. Most human beings probably got wiped out in comet storms. And I think we probably got, there's been points in history that they know of where human beings got down to like 7,000 people. The Younger Dryas impact theory is a theory that Earth goes through a cycle of like comet storms every June and every November. And most of the time nothing happens. But every now and again we get hit. We get hit big. And they think we got hit big 11,800 plus years ago. And that had to restart civilization. And that what you're seeing from like Mesopotamia, all these people 6,000 years later, they think that is a rebuilding of civilization that was already like just whispers and stories and tales. And then they rebuilt it again thousands of years later.
I'm a huge believer in this. I would go see Graham Hancock's Ancient Apocalypse series. It's on Netflix in the UK. Amazing. And it looks into this a lot deeper. I mean, I'm no scientist, but I'm not sure if it's supposed to be able to go in front and behind the cloud. It looks like a hot knife going through butter.
How long do you think it's going to be before they make the announcement that we've had contact with outer space and then call for what?
Never.
You don't think so?
No. I used to think so. I used to think they were getting us prepared, but I have no doubt now that they never intended to, and I fully agree with them. Now, 5, 6, 7 years ago, I was going on the lecture, hey, you gotta listen to this, you gotta see what's going on. Now, I know they were ready. I mean, mankind is not and will never be ready for this kind of information. Sure, it's interesting for you and me and a very small segment of society, and it's tremendously interesting. But no way should the public ever be told about it.
What do you think would happen if they were?
It would probably cause problems that the governments of the world are not equipped to handle. The basic issue is religion.
I mean, with all these drones and already distrust for the government around the world, I don't feel like people even believe any of this stuff that's coming out right now anyway. So most of the world's just going to ignore it unless something crazy happens.
For a long time, I used to say, before doing what I did, I used to say, what happened? Why aren't we moving forward? Today's announcement sends a clear signal to the world that we are restoring America's proud legacy of leadership in space. At some point in the future, we're going to look back and say, how did we do it without space? The Vice President will serve as the Council's chair. The privatization of certain aspects is going to play a very crucial role, don't you think? They are truly into it. I will say that's not easy because everybody wants to be on this board. People that you wouldn't have believed loved what we're doing so much. They want to be some of the most successful people in the world want to be on this board. The human soul yearns for discovery. By unlocking the mysteries of the universe, we unlock truths within ourselves. That's true. Our journey into space will not only make us stronger and more prosperous, but will unite us behind grand ambitions and bring us all closer together. Wouldn't that be nice? Can you believe that space is going to do that? I thought politics would do that. Well, we'll have to rely on space instead. Every launch into the skies is another step forward toward a future where our differences seem small.
I don't care what anyone says. That's definitely his way of letting us know. Damn.
This other thing about Elon. Elon's going to steal everybody's money. He has $400 billion. I'm telling you, he's not going to steal your money. I'm telling you, that's not what he's doing. What he's doing is, he's a super genius that's been with, okay? And when you've been with by these nitwits that hide behind 3-letter agencies, and you're dealing with one of the smartest people alive, and he helps Donald Trump get in office, and he goes, I want to find out what kind of corruption is really around. Well, you fucked up. You fucked up and picked the wrong psychopath on the spectrum, because he's gonna hunt you down. He's gonna find out what's going on, and that's good. That's good for everybody.
What I find crazy is we got a former reality star and a mad scientist in the office, in the White House, and it's our best option right now for the world.
That wall in Montana. Do you know that wall in Montana? Mm-hmm. So there's an ancient wall in Montana that some people have tried to say is a natural rock formation, and almost anybody looks at it and goes, you're out of your fucking mind. That's 100% placed in stacked stones. But the problem is this ancient wall, look at that. I mean, shut the fuck up. How is that? Oh, yeah. Just shut the fuck up. It was on private land, and apparently, originally, it was covered in trees, and they cleared the area. Sure. And so initially, people were thinking that it was some sort of a natural formation, but as they cleared the area, they're like, wait a minute, what is this? 1996, they found it. Yeah. While hiking around the property one day, we discovered the Sage Wall. The wall is 275 feet long and 24 feet high. A jaw-dropping marvel. In order to make these boulder areas more accessible,
and highlight their beauty, we created a moderate 2-mile trail system. Additional features of the trail include 400-year-old Douglas fir trees, the spectacular views of the Ruby Valley 20 miles away, and the Highland Mountain Range sitting at 10,000 feet in elevation. So this is like high elevation, covered in trees, on a piece of private land that these people just hadn't noticed that they had this thing on there. You know, it's probably some massive ranch in Montana. And then like, okay, what's this? No explanations.
Right.
No one knows what it is.
That sinkhole that ate this Illinois soccer field happened to your house, it would be more probable than what they found in these vases. These are ancient Egyptian vases made out of granite. Some engineers saw this and said, hey, those are too precise, so they measured them. They were too precise for mechanical measurements, so they laser scanned them. The laser scan wasn't precise enough, so then they CT scanned them with an X-ray. CT scans are micron precise. That is a human hair. CT scans get that precise. You can see that level of detail. Here's one of them. Green means that if it was going on an airplane, it would be considered perfect. If I gave you a pencil with a micron thin tip, a perfectly straight line would be green. You're off by 3 microns, that's yellow. These are designed using circles. The pattern is based on sacred geometry. It's called radial traversion. It just means that every curve on that vase is a harmonic ratio like music. They tested the mathematically perfect pattern on a digitally designed vase. The difference between the perfect digital one and the Egyptian one was 9 microns. They then found out that the units they were working with were based on the speed of light. I'll let Ben explain this.
This is very interesting, as it means that the base unit seems to be a simple whole number subdivision of the speed of light in a vacuum.
All of this got a harsh reaction from the archaeological community for a very good reason. What they have to say they used based on that story is now proven false with data. Now, Flint uses these alabaster vases as an example. I literally just saw these at the Egyptian Museum. But those are not even close to as precise as this machined modern vase that they compared the Egyptian one to. They date these as pre-dynastic, so using only copper. But before they built the greatest monument of all time, they were able to produce hundreds of thousands of these at aircraft-grade precision. So saying that they resorted to slavery and just worked really hard makes them look worse, while saying they were more advanced immediately goes that direction. Just to make this clear, the Hindu, Egyptians, and the Mayans built their shit. No aliens, just these aliens, who told this story, took their stuff, in a time when horses were high-tech. Please go watch Ben's video for yourself. It's an hour and a half with all the evidence, and watch the counter evidence from people like Flint. What those people left will speak for itself.
So you're telling me hundreds of thousands of things from vases all the way up to the pyramids themselves are this exact. So they obviously knew something we didn't know.
As someone who went to school for years and studied countless hours on the Tesseract, I can tell you that this is the single most accurate depiction that I could possibly show you that you'd be able to perceive in our third dimension that we occupy. My thesis in grad school specifically focused on how the third dimension would be able to perceive the fourth when it came to objects such as the Tesseract, so I definitely know what I'm talking about. When my professor just forwarded this over to me, we get together on Thursday nights to talk about mathematics and high-end equations that most people don't understand. So when he sent this to me, my mind was blown. I was like, I knew I had to share this with my following. This is quite possibly, like I said, the most accurate depiction that you'll possibly see in your lifetime. There's nothing closer than this.
It looks endless. So that's what the fourth dimension would look like to us if we could perceive it. Or am I perceiving this video wrong? That's fascinating.
Do you remember this tree that looks completely out of place? Some people theorized it could be a fake tree, and the shimmering on the leaves is a kind of camouflage. Well, I want to show you something. Watch this.
It does look different to the other trees, but it could be a different tree. That's not right.
That's not normal. So now the question is, Why is there a fake tree sitting among a forest? Is it a spy tree? Is it a hiding place for someone or something? Could it even be a portal tree for Bigfoot? Because there are hundreds of reports of Bigfoot disappearing into a tree, which could support the theory that Bigfoot is coming from another dimension.
All right, that's it. We found Bigfoot's pool tree. I mean, that is crazy. I mean, it could be birds in there, maybe like the heat seek. It doesn't look like it though, right? I don't know. What do you think? Have we found Bigfoot's pool?
It's all starting to make sense. You will not believe what we are about to show you. Look at this. What all witnessing behind us, believe it or not, is allegedly an AI-powered system that can supposedly be attached to the things that we've all seen in and around the skies. We don't hear much of this stuff no more, but we see loads of it before Christmas, and it's known as Waldo 3.0 or Waldo 3. And trust me, it can detect objects or like people, cars, about the whereabouts, buildings, boats, planes, you name it. Is this what we've all been seeing? And could this be something that is man-made? Look at it. It is going to honestly blow your mind, and I'll let you all know now what Waldo stands for. And that is whereabouts ascertainable for low-lying detectable objects. And I'm showing you all these videos, as I do all the time, for you to make your own mind up. Potentially do your own research if you want to, but this is something that allegedly can detect you anywhere in the world, not just people, objects. Let me know if you think there's more to it.
Yeah, it's crazy. You know they wanted to call it Waldo. They went out of their way. If they're using it for goods, great, but they're not only going to use that for goods, surely.
Here we have it, clear as day. Sun's right there. Moon is right there. Let's zoom in a little bit. There it is. Clear as day. Moon's over there. And the sun is over there. Now let's point out what's wrong with this picture. If people in Australia right now can see the moon, how is that possible if Australia is on the other side of the ball? How much more evidence do we need at this point that we're being lied to? I know it's difficult, I know the cognitive dissonance is strong, but it's not me that's actually lying here. We can see that the sun and the moon are clearly visible in the sky, so that completely blows the whole model out the window. Because how can we possibly see the sun and the moon in the sky at the same time if people in Australia right now can also see the moon in the sky? On the other side of this ball, supposedly upside down, stuck to the bottom of this ball because of this magical force called gravity. There it is.
It makes a great point, but it is pretty common to see the moon and the sun. There's got to be a smart way of looking at that. I mean, I don't know how to explain that in the scientific way, but it doesn't make sense to me. I don't know about you.
Everything's cash. None.
Why no bitcoins and why no cryptocurrency?
Well, Bitcoins, I called the top of the market in December 2017 when it was $19,600. I said, if you have Bitcoin, sell half, keep half. This is the top. Nobody listened to me. If you knew who was really behind Bitcoin, you would run as fast as you fucking could to sell it. I know. 100%. If you knew who owned Bitcoin or who started Bitcoin, you had Bitcoin, you couldn't sleep at night. I know.
Damn.
100%.
Who's he talking about?
And when the real founder of Bitcoin comes out, it is my humble opinion, and there's nothing humble about me, Bitcoin will go to fucking zero.
One day.
And a microsecond, whoop, like that.
Then.
I mean, who do you think that is that he's talking about? I mean, is he talking about human traffickers or something like this? Because that's all I can think of, really.
Are you aware of the history of research in ayahuasca?
Yeah, like
one of the more interesting aspects of it is when scientists first discovered its properties, and they did experiments on it. They wanted to call one of the ingredients telepathy. But due to the rules of scientific nomenclature, they realized that it had already been named harmine. So this harmine is one of the ingredients. It's in one of the plants that's used to make this brew. But when the scientists explored this and started experimenting with it, it's somewhere in the early 20th century, they realized that they could read each other's minds and that they were communicating and that they were having a shared experience that seemed to be completely mental, but independently they all verified the exact same thing. And so that's why they wanted to name it telepathy, which is a way more fun word than harmony.
Way more fun.
Yeah. But this idea that we need something to access this dormant part of what is human consciousness.
Yeah. And I think
somebody in the Amazon, out of 150,000 different species of plants and trees, selected 2 that are not psychoactive on their own, but when put together, create an extraordinary visionary brew. And ayahuasca means the vine of the dead. And what it's connected to in South American religious and spiritual thinking is what happens to us when we die. And the Tucano, who are an Amazonian people who work regularly with ayahuasca, I mean, the Tucano actually will give a teaspoonful of ayahuasca to a newborn infant. They feel ayahuasca is so important that there is a hidden realm around us which we are not normally aware of, and we need to be aware of it. And ayahuasca is an important part of that. In their ayahuasca journeys, the Tucano shamans experience visions, and they will then come back to an alert, normal, problem-solving state of consciousness, and they will paint and depict their visions.
I would love to see those paintings. It's a crazy thought. So we secrete that DMT when we sleep and when we die. So is that like a way of accessing where we're from originally, maybe? I mean, I thought about it a lot. Still too scared to take it. Please let me know if anyone has any stories. Wow. I would love to see that view from up there. I'm so glad he's doing it and not me. Wow. Surely you're facing like prison time, right? You can't just do that. Can you see that view? Wow. I love that. I want to know how long that took. He must be gassed. Wow. Insane.
Yeah, this is recording. So I just saw the alien and I've recorded it on my TV with a tripod because I recorded on that camera and I can't get it off the disc. So that's the way I had to do it. This is just using a normal camera. Okay.
Can you come out of the grass? No, it ran away.
It definitely looks like something. It don't look like another animal. That's crazy. It looks like the alien from American Dad.
What do you want?
Some type of octopus.
What the fuck?
Yo. I don't know if that's real. I don't know if that's real or fake, but if it's real, that is creepy. It kind of looks a little bit like the iRobot meets Octopus.
Bro, this hole ain't a joke. The hole's actually fully sinking the boat.
No.
The boat's legit. The boat's legit filling up with water. This is not good.
Duh.
We're still 40 minutes away from the destination. We're now in the middle of the ocean.
40 minutes.
And there's a hole in the boat.
Why do these guys seem chill?
The big. Oh my god. His mate's told him to move out of the way.
Man, they set off with that hole.
He's too pissed. He's too pissed.
Damn.
Oh shit! This might actually be. Look at the water. Oh, this man is fine. He's stopping now. We're gonna sink. We're gonna sink. No. Yeah. You're not to sink. What do you think we are? No, we are not to sink. We are fucking to the land. We are camp.
Man, they must do this every day. Fair play.
Right here, this, whatever this is, this right here, we think it's air. But I realized that if I stop, close my nose and mouth for 4 minutes, if I'm separated from this substance for 4 minutes, my heart don't stop. My brain don't even stop. My body functions don't stop. The first thing I lose is consciousness. I pass out. I can no longer stay aware. So I started to say, well, wait a minute. I'm not just breathing in air. I'm breathing in consciousness. I'm inhaling and exhaling God itself. And this air is conscious.
That's a nice way to look at it, man.
Something. 48 years of study, I'm going to give you a secret. Nothing in this world is what you think it is. Government does not work the way you think it does. Religion is a corporation, especially in the Western world. All religions operate under maritime admiralty law. Maritime admiralty is the law of water. There are only two things on the earth, land and water. So there are two kinds of law, the law of the land and the law of water. The law of the land is the custom of the people who live on a particular piece of land. So the law of the land is different in every country.
Okay, got it.
But there is also a far more important law on the earth. It's called the law of the water. And that law is referred to in courts as maritime admiralty.
What are some of those laws that we're not aware of?
Oh, my goodness. When you walk into a courtroom, why do you go to court? You play basketball on a court. You play tennis on a court.
Right.
Yeah, how do you play tennis on a court? You play with a racket. Come on. And so the judge walks out. He rules from the bench. Right? Look it up in a Latin dictionary. The word bench is a bank in Latin. And so the judge is ruling for the bank. That's why he wears a black robe, because the black robe represents the planet Saturn, the god of banking and law, who in the ancient world was called Lord of the Rings.
Wow.
Well, he is Lord of the Rings.
Like this ring.
And so women were told in the ancient world to listen to their god, so they would wear an ear ring. Men were to get married before their god, so they wear a wedding ring, because Saturn was Lord of the Rings.
There's a lot to think about. I'm not really sure how to use that information, but I need to look up maritime admiralty law.
You have 14,000 reels for the whole Apollo 11 mission has gone missing. How do you lose 14,000 reels of telemetry tape? And I might add one more thing here. It isn't just for Apollo 11. All of the missions, a total of 140,000 reels of telemetry tapes have gone missing. They actually went missing in the early 70s. I actually looked into this and researched this and realized and found out that it was NASA themselves that signed out all those telemetry tapes from the archives. That's all on record. We don't specifically know who, and those tapes have disappeared. You have to come to one conclusion. Those tapes were destroyed.
A huge company like NASA doesn't lose files. They destroy files.
The technology that he knows is state of the art when it comes to drones.
Yes.
And that some of these ones in New Jersey, they're doing things that you can't really do yet.
Yes.
Yeah, which is really fascinating. Because it's like, okay.
And they're the size of SUVs.
Right. So is it ours? And we somehow or another have some stuff that the mainstream drone manufacturers at the highest level aren't aware of yet? Is it ours? Is it like some crazy military stuff? Because if it's not, and it's coming from the ocean, like, what do you mean it's coming? What the fuck do you?
50 of them.
What do you mean? What do you mean 50 suburban-sized
So check this out.
UFOs are coming out of the ocean?
This is really funny. I've been working with this guy. We've been communicating on the Signal for a long time. Actually, he was through Proton. He was emailing me stuff about Virginia, the UFO crash in Virginia. And but he was anonymous. One day, I was like, he's really knowledgeable. And he was sending me stuff that was really helpful. Like, you should track down this flight because if it happened, it was going to this airport, go to this base. And I was like, finally one day, I was like, who are you? And how do you know what you know? He goes, I'm a retired United States Air Force colonel. I was like, oh. And he goes, and I'm also an experiencer. I had an experience back in 1980, blah, blah, blah.
Oh,
so
what happened to him?
He had a UFO encounter. It's in the movie towards the end. But anyway, he texted me yesterday and he goes, James, I really want you to explain to me how the hell you orchestrated a UAP invasion right around the time your film's coming out. I was like, I'd really like to know how you did that. I was like, I know I couldn't.
Bro, do you know what kind of a budget you would have to have drones running in the sky all over? How many different cities are reporting it now? Like, what's the numbers?
It's exploding all over the place, and it's getting better. I've heard California, I've heard Europe now, bases in England, New York, New Jersey.
I've heard San Diego. I definitely wasn't there something in Ohio, right? Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. They had to shut that place down.
Yeah,
that's Ohio. So I've heard New Jersey. I think Florida, right? That was the one that Ryan Graves showed us a photo of. That was from Florida. So, like, who fucking? What's going on? Who fucking knows?
I mean, I don't know about you guys, but it makes sense to me that this is some sort of military system putting these out, trying to push this idea of aliens, because it's everywhere. It's on adverts, like adverts in between this video right now. You're gonna see an advert, like a Just Eat advert, if you're in the UK. There's so many. You understand that we've heard this all the time, that the technology we have as everyday people is 100, 200 years behind what they actually have in the military and stuff like that. So it makes more rational sense that this is a military or government program, like these drones and stuff, and potentially the bigger or the plasmoid stuff. It could just be technology we're not aware of. But they're definitely pushing it. I mean, you just have to look at the adverts in between YouTube videos alone or normal TV. Aliens are everywhere.
The most intelligent computer in the world, called Google's neural network. And it has a deep fake detector program that's never been wrong. You can feed it a video of Biden or Trump. It'll tell you in 1 second whether it's real or not. They fed it pictures of the surface of the moon from the unmanned Chinese probes from 2014. Said they're real. Every Apollo picture it said was fake. It had a fake backdrop. It was taken in a television studio. That's the most intelligent computer in the world that can understand the pixels. One of them, it suggested that this wasn't even a full-size lunar module, that it was a miniature. And that's how they were able to do wide landscapes, because one of the astronauts' figures, the AI said, was a miniature because the footsteps shadows weren't normal the way a person would walk, that they were stamped in there with a fake footprint.
Wow. I mean, at this point, it is quite clear, looking at the footage, that it's at least doctored. It doesn't look real. But what I question is that the 2014 stuff is real. But if we didn't go there back then, it's because we still can't, because of the Van Allen belt. So that doesn't really make sense to me. Maybe that means that 2014 is just a better fake.
Everything is energy. And the main lesson you're here on Earth to do is to learn how to manipulate energy. And what does that mean? Create. You have to learn how to create. Once you figure that out, you can have anything. That's what we are. We are creators. We are manifestors. There are no limitations unless you put them on yourself. Once you learn these things, you can have anything you want in life.
We gotta think like that for real. It's a good way to think.
I don't believe in ghosts. This was the evening that my granddad passed away about 6 months ago. This is a motion detector inside his house that basically picks up motion, and it'll start filming. So this is the first clip of it. Like, I don't know what's moved here, but it's come on. And then on the next clip, one of our cousins said, "Well, that looks like our grandmother." So our grandmother died about 15 years ago. So, and it looks like her in a wedding dress. When you zoom in, that's what you see there. But the strangest thing is like, you see that the white backdrop, that's the outside. So that's still at night, but the white is inexplicable.
Wow, look at the flower. You can even see the flowers in it.
Quite. But the weird thing for me, because when I first saw this, the weird thing for me was that it was on the exact night that he died. Wow. So it's so strange.
That could be real, man. The white at the back, that's the craziest part. And then I kind of see like it almost looked at the same picture, I guess, but that's obviously easily editable, but that is kind of crazy.
That's the one. That? When I first saw that in the Cairo Museum, it's carved from schist, this thing is hard. And when I first saw that in the Cairo Museum, I thought, how on earth did they do this? Why isn't this a big mystery? Why isn't this being seen as a mystery? Because
that looks like a piece of an engine.
It does.
Yeah, engine or
that
propeller.
That looks like something I'd find on my Land Cruiser.
Yeah. It looks like part of something else. We're finding a bit of something larger.
What is the conventional explanation of what this thing is?
Some kind of offering bowl?
The Sabu disc, an ancient Egyptian artifact from the First Dynasty, 3000 to 2800 BC, found in 1936 in North Saqqara necropolis. They think it was used in brewing beer as a mash rake to mix and even out the mixture of grains and hot water in a big mash turn.
Nah. You've seen like the kind of pottery and stuff they use. There's no way they made that for beer. No. There's no way they use that for beer. That looks like an alloy, an engine, some sort of machinery.
So the news thinks that we are stupid, obviously. Now these people, these astronauts, are allegedly stuck in space, but somehow the news was able to make it there to interview them. Check this out, but just remember,
how does that work?
Unbelievable how they treat us.
How does that work?
It really is. So I really hope people start to wake up, but this is for entertainment.
10 arrive, and we're going to hand the baton to Crew 10, and we are going to return to Earth at the end of a successful long-duration mission aboard the space station, performing that mission that we so deeply care about.
So there was a third guy the whole time, or what? What's the story
the
then?
Continuation of a legacy that's been going on board the space station for 25 years. And so with that, we're happy to answer your questions.
Thank you, Nick. We'll go ahead and jump right.
Don't you worry about a thing. I'm sure they're actually up there in outer space. I'm sure the news guy made it there, to interview them and then went home. No problems. What are we even talking about here? This is so ridiculous. I love you all. My opinion.
Like, I know that guy's hair is short, and you can see his kind of sitting up a little bit. But why is her hair like that? And his is just a little bit. That makes no sense to me, man.
Do you ever think about the Roman Empire?
All the time.
Why? What are you thinking about it?
Well, because we're in those times right now. Everybody's preoccupied with sports, movies, work,
What was it you said about bread?
Well, all right. The common people, Roman Empire said that everybody was equal. Everybody had a chance.
Uh-huh.
But it wasn't. The rich got richer and the poor got poorer. And they worried constantly about people rioting.
Uh-huh.
Because they knew that the common man, the common people,
Uh-huh.
could take over at any time. So they would bring them into the Colosseums. And they would give them free grain. They would give them bread. They would give them wine, whatever they needed to fill their bellies and block their minds from what they were angry about. They would watch plays. They would watch fights with the gladiators, sometimes for months on end.
Huh.
And that's where we're at right now. And I think about it all the time. because so many people are preoccupied with their favorite football team, their favorite actor, actress, singer, and they just don't even think about what's being taken away from them. As long as their bellies are full and they're happy with what's going on, they just let it continue.
Wow.
I like that guy.
Menugate, have you heard of that? Menugate? This man, his name is Cody, lives in Atlanta. He walked out of his apartment one day and noticed every single door in his hallway had a Chinese menu in the doorway. 3 days later, still there in every doorway. All of them. He's like, what in the world? It's like 3 days, everyone in my hall has not opened their door. And then it was like 5 days, still there. He's like, this is weird. So he went down to the parking garage and looked at the cars. And the majority of the cars in the parking garage were covered in dust. And he's like, that's weird. And then he's like, okay, this is like freaking me out a little bit. Went through his whole apartment building, couldn't find a fire alarm. Finally, like went down like one weird hallway or whatever, found one, pulls it. And supposedly there's supposed to be 800 people living in this apartment building. No one came out. He went out into his local little nook where his apartment was, and every like coffee shop and place that he went to, there was always one man in there wearing a suit talking on the phone. He said these men were all saying the same thing into the phone. And he's just like, am I living in a simulation? What is this?
I'm thinking something sketchy's been going on in my apartment complex for some while now, because they say the building's full, but I never see anyone here. And now let's talk about Chinese menus. I watched the guy put these up. He did it on Friday. It's now Sunday. Are you really telling me people live here, but no one on my floor has come in or out of their building in 3 days? Like, what is going on here? Like seriously, I'm being lied to. There's something's going on here. We're now on day 5, and does anybody live in my building? Menu, still there. Still there. And there. And you guessed it. Okay, so this one's gone, so that's an update. And this one's gone too. Still there.
Are they staging people having fake fun in their apartments?
I don't know you, and you probably don't know me, but yes, this is a thing that actually happens. I would know. I've been living in an abandoned apartment complex for the better part of the last 4 years. That's right. They say the property is fully 100% booked to capacity, but I am, in fact, the only person that resides there. Hey, it's me, that guy that lives in the abandoned apartment complex in Atlanta. I swear to God, I feel like I'm living in the Matrix. I walk by this guy in a suit and tie sitting at a table in front of Chipotle having a conversation. And then I walk by another guy sitting at a table in a suit and tie at McAllister's Deli, and he's having the exact same conversation. And then I look around, like this guy over here is having the same conversation, the same as that guy, the same as that guy, and that guy. And when I say they're everywhere, I mean they're like everywhere. Every single business in the shopping center has a young man in a suit and tie sitting there on a phone call, having the exact same phone call, giving the exact same presentation to someone at the exact same time. Wait. Is that another person? Come back. I have questions. It's now day 6 of Menugate, and I'm here checking the parking garage. I live on the first floor, so the only people that are supposed to park here are people that live on my floor. And like, there's more cars here than there are apartments. Closer inspection, some of these cars don't look like they've moved for a while. Okay, we're gonna check the other floors. It's again plenty of cars, but also that's been there for a minute. This one too. Like, we're on the 5th floor now. It's getting a little bit empty. I mean, it is 12 o'clock on a Wednesday, but I mean, for the amount of people that are supposed to live here, there should be more cars. Also, for the amount of people that aren't here, there should be fewer cars. I'm on the top floor, and there's like not a single car up here, and that might not seem unusual for most people, but like, I live in Atlanta, like the heart of Midtown. You know how rare it is to find like empty parking spaces in a building? And yes, there are still plenty of menus. Menugate update. Somebody said pull the firearm and let's see who lives here. Well, let's go check out front. Damn it, all these doors. Like, okay, we're serious, right? Okay, we made it outside out front, and where is all of the people? Like,
You're telling me this building is completely full, but no one's leaving during the fire? I guess I'll just sit here and see what happens. Maybe the fire department will show up. Ooh, maybe there'll be a cute fireman. Is this my meet cute? You gate part 14. I think my new neighbor is fake. It's 8:31 on the 22nd, and there is all of this shit in the hallway. It is now 7:18 on the 23rd, and it's still there. Why is this stuff still here? And it's been 3 days, and the furniture's still in the hallway. Yeah, it's been 3 days, and the furniture is still in the hall. Who just leaves their furniture in the hallway? I think they just tried to stage somebody moving in to make me feel better, because it's the one right across from my unit. They're on to me.
And a shaft that you rotate. So, I mean, like on the space station, how many of these would you have? 7, because we have 7 windows. What happens if you get a leak on that? Then you have a leak. You just have a leak. And what you would do is lose air. Yeah, you would probably seal the whole cupola off. And then there's probably a plan, I don't know off the top of my head, but there's probably a plan for replacing the mechanism. Might require a spacewalk. So my question is, how can you operate a lid on the outside of the space station by manipulating something mechanical on the inside of the space station without losing air pressure? It's called real good engineering. Real good engineering.
Sure. Now look at this. Does that seem secure and sealed once it's shut? Like, I don't really know what that is supposed to be, but it don't seem to work. More lies from NASA.
Yeah, and if you drink water, immediately there's a law that says, now this is electrolytic fluid. This says 5 grams of unrefined sea salt melted into 1 liter. That's the perfect formula. It took 20 years to figure that out, and I didn't figure it out, but a person did figure it out. And when you drink this, then it donates these raw materials that you make your blood from. This is actually blood material. And if you don't have enough of it, you don't produce enough blood. Like your body's producing blood right now, right? You're always producing blood 4 hours a day.
Yeah.
You're just not even close to enough. So what happens is that 5 liters keeps getting filled up more and more. The filters keep getting plugged up more and more. Take a look at a 60-year-old and an 80-year-old. How do they look?
Right.
At 60, they look pretty good, right? At 80, they look like shit. And then they die because their blood system is so full and every cell in your body is contacted by blood.
Interesting. It's good to know.
Will you let us know if there's aliens? Because this is the only thing I really want to know.
I won't talk to you about what I know about it, but it's very interesting. But Roswell's a very interesting place with a lot of people that would like to know what's going on.
Will you ever open up Roswell and let us know what's really going on?
Well, I'll have to think about that one.
I
It sounds
wanna
like
know.
a cute question, but it's actually, there are millions and millions of people that want to go there, that want to see it.
When it comes to aliens, there's some things I just can't tell you on air. The truth is that when I came into office, I asked. There's footage and records of objects in the skies that we don't know exactly what they are. We can't explain how they move, their trajectory. They did not have an easily explainable pattern. People still take seriously trying to investigate and figure out what that is.
There is no doubt that they are pushing the idea of alien disclosure now. And we've got to ask ourselves why. Now, why would they do it now if, my entire lifetime at least, they've been denying it. They may give us like a little bit of like, oh, we know something, but we can't tell you. But now they're like, just, why?
I saw a mermaid.
Really?
Yeah.
When?
In Seychelles, Africa.
You saw an actual mermaid?
That's what it was. It was a swimming person.
Really?
Yeah. And
how long ago was this?
I don't know. Me and this little French boy, and they said don't swim in the lagoon after dark. Everybody's up at the bar, and so everybody's gonna go down. Everybody's kind of racing now. So me and him go down. Me and him get in the water. From a distance, you see something coming like a fucking missile, but it's going fast, and we both kind of stop. And then it turns and it jumps out of the water. And it's maybe at least 10, 12 feet long, man. And it do like this, and it look at both of us and go, whoo. The water was only about this deep. didn't make a splash or nothing. And then me and him turned the fuck around. We running, and everybody's coming down there laughing, got their drinks in their hand. We're like, no, fuck that. And the little boy in French, and his mom is apologizing to me, saying he has a very vivid imagination. Said, no, bitch, listen, we saw a fish man, and it wasn't like a mermaid. Didn't look feminine at all.
Look at a man.
A fucking man.
Really?
A fucking dude who said, get the fuck out the pool. Yeah, because
So
he
did it look
didn't
like
go,
a
hey,
fish
get out
person?
the water.
Did it look
Yeah.
like a fish person or look like a human being?
Came out.
Did it have
this.
scales?
It was kind of dark.
Dark like a dolphin?
No, but he had, the back of him was fish. The back of him was fish. His head was humanoid, eyes about so big. Then I ain't the first person to see some shit in them waters. And the guy who does the horseback riding, you know, you can ride horses. He said, "How old are you?" And I told him, he says, "You're from America, right?" I'm like, "Yeah." He says, "So at this age, pretty much if you see a turtle and I tell you that's not a turtle, he says, you know it's a turtle. You're the age, you know what you saw."
Right.
He says, "People pay a lot of money at this resort." He says, "Yeah, it's maybe not a good idea to go around going, I saw a mermaid." And he goes, he's saying how long his family has been fishing in these waters. He says, and he's heard some things. He says, "I've heard some things like what you say." He said, "I've never seen what you say you saw, but it's not the first time I heard that." And I said, "Thank you."
Do we believe in mermaids? Wow.
Well, we got some footage coming out of California of a strange orb-like plasmoidal thing floating through the sky. And notice in the background here, everyone is just standing in the street staring up at this thing stumped. And if you can listen to the background as well, you can just hear everyone kind of perplexed about the whole situation, right? As this bright light tends to dim down, it's moving across the sky, and then it begins, and then it stops. So it's not going up, it's going sideways like this, okay? Not vertical, horizontal. That's the word I was looking for, right? And then it turns into this plasmoidal orb. And we've seen something similar to this that was in China. If I can find a video right here, okay? This is the same exact object that was seen. No noise associated with it. And it's just carrying on and floating by, right? Unbelievable. And look, as it's there, it's just kind of slowed down. Now it's kind of stopped. It's moving very slowly. Again, when it comes to these sightings, this isn't the first time we've seen something of this nature, okay? I mean, the people are probably going to be like, it's a flare, it's nothing else, but there's no sort of like flare. A, that doesn't make any noise. B, it's not going vertically, it's traveling horizontally through the sky. It's actively moving through the clouds. It's going like that, and then it slows down and then carries on.
You can see how bright it is by how that shone up them clouds. Like
That is
shone, is that word?
insane. Orb? I don't know. You guys let me know what you think. I thought this was hella interesting.
Looks like the
California.
sun. No,
Come
really.
on, man.
Plasmoid or flare?
Look at that. The humans are developing tools. They're using that as weapons. Okay. Awesome. The humans developed fire. That's going to really... they're using that as a weapon. Hey, look what they got there. They found a new way to transport themselves across the oceans of that planet. That's pretty cool. That's going to help them travel. They're using it as a weapon. Okay, well, this new transportation that they got seems pretty solid. They're able to fly across the world, so and they're using it as a weapon. Look, they're using nuclear technology. They're finally smartening up. This is going to be great for them. This was great for our society. It made us be able to travel across the stars to other planets. Oh my God, they're using it for bombs. What the hell is wrong with this planet?
As there is.
I've lost all my money. I've lost my wife. I've lost everything. I'm down. I can't sink any lower. Okay, that's a good place to start. You can't get any lower from that. Everything from now on is going to get better. If you have that attitude, you're going to learn a lot. You're going to go far, you know? But a lot of people haven't bottomed out yet. Once they bottom out, then some big dramatic changes can happen, or they continue to live on the floor and ask everybody else to get down on the floor with them. They want to blame somebody else for what's happened in their life. They have not learned to accept responsibility for themselves yet. That's the big thing. You have to own it yourself. Accept responsibility. Forgive others, for they know not what they do. You know? And then once you learn to forgive others, no matter what mean or terrible things they've done to you, your life's going to get better. You can't make any progress until you forgive. That's going to hold a lot of people back. Forgive them, no matter what they did to you. No matter what, you have to forgive them. Once you can do that, you can move on with your life.
I like that message, and it makes sense. So we all gonna hit some sort of rock bottom, what we consider rock bottom, at that stage of our life, and we're either gonna like grow, or we're gonna blame others, drag people down, ruin relationships. So when you hit what you think is rock bottom, just push. That's the time to start working, man.
I reckon this one's going to get the pseudoscience gurus to bounce their heads off the wall. How much fuel do you reckon they used just to get out of Earth's orbit on the Apollo 11 mission? Because once again, the maths just ain't mathing. This is a fuel tank holding 60,000 gallons worth of fuel. Now, just for the Apollo 11 mission, the Saturn V rocket, to get out of Earth's orbit, it needed 203,400 gallons of kerosene fuel and 318,000 gallons of liquid oxygen. And to fully get to the moon, they needed to use 950,000 gallons of fuel. Once again, this is 60,000 gallons. And we're led to believe that this rocket used 950,000 gallons
Where's it
just
fitting?
to get to the moon. Then a further
Where?
950,000 essentially to get back and land perfectly. Where are they fitting all that fuel? This was just for entertainment, guys, and I'm as fictional as a dinosaur, baby.
It's almost 2 million gallons to get there and back. No, it's just little things like this, like little maths like this, little kind of things they bring out, these numbers. It just don't make sense. You can't fit 2 million gallons in a spaceship like that if that's 60,000. Nah.
We're all bored now. But has it ever occurred to you, Wally, that the process that creates this boredom that we see in the world now may very well be a self-perpetuating, unconscious form of brainwashing created by a world totalitarian government based on money, and that all of this is much more dangerous than one thinks? And it's not just a question of individual survival, Wally, but that somebody who's bored is asleep, and somebody who's asleep will not say no? See, I keep meeting these people. I mean, just a few days ago, I met this man whom I greatly admire. He's a Swedish physicist, Gustav Bjornstrand, and he told me that he no longer watches television, he doesn't read newspapers, and he doesn't read magazines. He's completely cut them out of his life because he really does feel that we're living in some kind of Orwellian nightmare now, and that everything that you hear now contributes to turning you into a robot. When I was at Findhorn, I met this extraordinary English tree expert who had devoted his life to saving trees. Just got back from Washington, lobbying to save the redwoods. He's 84 years old. He always travels with a backpack because he never knows where he's going to be tomorrow. And when I met him at Findhorn, he said to me, "Where are you from?" And I said, "New York." He said, "New York. Yes, that's a very interesting place. Do you know a lot of New Yorkers who keep talking about the fact that they want to leave but never do?" And I said, "Oh, yes." And he said, "Why do you think they don't leave?" I gave him different banal theories. He said, "Oh, I don't think it's that way at all." He said, "I think that New York is the new model for the new concentration camp, where the camp has been built by the inmates themselves, and the inmates are the guards, and they have this pride in this thing they built. They've built their own prison, and so they exist in a state of schizophrenia, where they are both guards and prisoners, and as a result, they no longer have, having been lobotomized, the capacity to leave the prison they've made, or to even see it as a prison." And then he went into his pocket and he took out a seed for a tree and he said, "This is a pine tree." He put it in my hand and he said, "Escape before it's too late." See, actually for 2 or 3 years now, Chiquita and I have had this very unpleasant feeling that we really should get out. And we really should feel like Jews in Germany in the late 30s. Get out of here. Of course, the problem is where to go, because it seems quite obvious that the whole world is going in the same direction. See, I think it's quite possible that the 1960s represented the last burst of the human being before he was extinguished, and that this is the beginning of the rest of the future now, and that from now on there'll simply be all these robots walking around, feeling nothing, thinking nothing, and there'll be nobody left almost to remind them that there once was a species called a human being, with feelings and thoughts, and that history and memory are right now being erased, and soon nobody will really remember that life existed on the planet.
Yeah. So characters in these kind of films will tell us the stuff that we need to know, like the programming, the predictive programming. but they'll always be looked at as the crazy person. So anyone that repeats it and tells their peers, "Oh, I believe this," "Oh, don't be like that guy in that film," that gets the perfect formula to tell us, but we're too crazy to talk about it. But we deep down, we all know it. You know what I mean?
Watch this amazing ISS footage of two anti-gravitic craft flying in Earth's atmosphere. Who or what is flying these objects? Humans? Pleiadians? Let's slow them down a bit.
They're like flying coffins. If that's real, like, what is that? If it's real, that's a UFO.
Did not just say this. How they deflect attention from themselves is by criticizing the morals of others. Because what I'm about to reveal is the unnerving truth of what really happened. And even though 99% of you won't be able to stomach it, I have to show you. Now look, Elon Musk is one of those people. He's a revolutionary. He's done countless things. Rockets, solar, Tesla. Now he's undeniable. Everything changed when he went live on this video and exposed not only Diddy, but Epstein and what they really did. And don't get me wrong, this video is unnerving. But it makes you think is that if Diddy was able to last this long without anybody saying anything, and Epstein for what they did over these countless years, then what other secrets are they keeping from us they don't want us to know? But because Elon Musk did leak this, I just can't trust anybody anymore. I mean, just take a look at this. Between Diddy and Epstein, there's probably several thousand hours of footage here. Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of weird that the people on those videos are lecturing the rest of us about our moral failings, isn't it? Yeah, it's weird. What is that? Well, I mean, part of how they deflect attention from themselves is by criticizing the morals of others. Yes. It's sort of like a preemptive moral strike. Those who are saying Trump is a threat to democracy are themselves actually the threat to democracy.
It's interesting because Trump and Elon got mixed kind of reviews, right? So a lot of people are thinking this is good for the world. Like they're targeting these kind of people, the Epsteins, the Diddy's, and they're kind of seeming like they're trying to help the general population and to kind of stop some crazy stuff that's going on. But maybe considering Elon has the power now to deceive everyone with aliens, with anything to do with space and Mars, maybe it's like a way of making us trust him before it gets to that point, so then we just trust everything that happens as far as aliens are concerned. I might be crazy, but that's something to think of because I'm a big fan of Donald Trump and Elon Musk. But if they are going to be deceiving us, maybe this is the play: is give us what we want, give us the Epstein list, give us the Diddy list, get some people in prison, and then later on down the line, screw us over. I don't know. Someone might agree with me on that. Someone might have felt like that before, but
Do y'all remember this video?
So us 90, and we just out here. We're chilling. We're out here chilling. I hear it. I hear him. Where's she at?
Well, I've mentioned a couple of times in other videos that I actually had the chance to interview this gentleman, and he spilled all the tea. He told me everything that had happened that day and subsequent days after that. But unfortunately, not a whole lot of people saw that interview. So I finally found the complete video. It's about an hour and a half, give or take, and I have it uploaded to my YouTube channel. So, right after you're finished watching this video, get on over to my YouTube channel and feel free to just watch the entire thing right there. He goes through everything. He addresses all the concerns, questions, everything. It was pretty great. So, go ahead, head on over to my YouTube channel and you can watch the full thing over there. Also, if you have an experience that you'd like to talk about or share about, let me know and we'll get something worked out.
I'm sure you remember this story or these videos, at least this guy, and then he suddenly just disappeared. But yeah, a lot of these people on these ships report this stuff, and with all this stuff going on in the news, it's kind of circulating again. It's making me realize there must be something in that water. Mermaids probably are real.
If you see somebody who's been happy their whole life, you're going to see little crow's feet form right here, even around the age of 19 or 20. Our emotional billboard is our forehead. There's this behavior we have called an eyebrow flash. Okay. Which about 80% of people will return an eyebrow flash behavior without even knowing that they did it. That's how socially responsive we are.
That's
It comes
such an
down to
English
this
thing to
eyebrow
do.
flash. It's this, when we raise our eyebrows while we're talking to somebody, maybe for emphasis, and we're kind of bringing our eyebrows up like this. So you'll see somebody who's very social, they'll have those lines on the middle of their forehead. You won't see those forehead wrinkles in psychopaths. I still haven't seen deep forehead wrinkles in a psychopath. That little connection, that emotional connection that we make to other people and how we express ourselves, the eyebrows coming up. Talks about this psychopath, and he's in his apartment in a city one day, and he decides, I'm going to go get some tacos. As he's walking down to this taco place, he sees a car accident, and a mom is screaming and crying and holding her baby that has passed away, maybe a 2-year-old. And there's people onlooking and crying and screaming with her. The police are there trying to help her and stuff like that. And as he's staring at this incident unfolding inside of his head, here's what you're hearing. I think I want lettuce. I'm going to put lettuce on the tacos this time. Walks back by the scene again, looks at it again, comes back home and eats. And then that night before he's going to bed he's looking in his bathroom mirror going like this. Just trying to mimic all of those facial expressions of people grieving and being sad.
I did hear we have a lot of similarities. What if I told you the reason pigs' eyes look so human is more disturbing than you think? Think about it. Pigs don't just have human-like eyes. They have human-like skin, human-like organs, human-like emotions. But no one asks why. No one stops to question it. Yet, when you lock eyes with certain pigs, when you really look at them, something feels off. Too aware, too familiar. Like there's someone trapped behind that gaze. And maybe there is. See, pigs aren't just similar to humans. They are too similar. Their skin, used for burn grafts, their heart valves, transplanted into human bodies, their organs, so close to ours that scientists are now experimenting with full pig-to-human organ transplants. Coincidence? That's what they tell you. But if it's just coincidence, why does every part of them feel like a compatible version of us? And it's not just physical. It's their minds, too. Pigs recognize their own names. They dream. They mourn their dead. They cry for lost companions. Some have even been caught playing video games. Not for food, not for survival, but out of sheer boredom. So tell me, why? Why is there an animal walking around with human-like organs, human-like skin, human-like emotions? Maybe the answer is darker than you think.
This is just a theory, not a fact.
Damn. I guess the crazy theory is that we're part alien, part pig. Rational explanation would be that just we're so similar to animals on this planet, we just still don't realize. Either way, I'm done eating pork.
Universe. This is a question that's back in the spotlight as government officials speak out in a new documentary.
Here's ABC's Andrew Denberg with the story.
I have seen with my own eyes non-human craft and non-human beings.
An explosive documentary is setting out to prove aliens are real and the government is covering it up. The new film, The Age of Disclosure, claims to reveal an 80-year cover-up of the existence of non-human intelligent life and a secret war amongst major nations to reverse engineer technology of non-human origin.
You think for a second that they wouldn't consider using it to achieve their ends of domination?
It features more than 30 U.S. officials speaking out on the alleged existence of aliens and UFOs, including Secretary of State Marco Rubio.
Even presidents have been operating on a need-to-know basis, but that begins to ramp out of control.
There's a reason why they're releasing it now.
South by Southwest
they're
Film
letting this
Festival.
film come out.
Kind of spread like wildfire amongst those who are in the inner circle on this within our government, and they started to realize this is a unique opportunity to bring the truth out.
I think it gave them an opportunity to tell their side of the story, and they had absolutely nothing to gain but public humiliation. I mean, myself, I've lost contributors.
This is the biggest discovery in human history.
Reaction has been mixed. One person posting, "Spreading the word about this topic is the most important story in the history of humanity. but another saying not a single scrap of verifiable
Now, this could be legit documentary that they're just allowing to happen because it's about time or it's planned. Because there's tons of documentaries about child trafficking, human trafficking that don't get released or pushed back, or people get hurt and like threatened. But they just let all this alien stuff come out. And it's exposing the government's lies. Why would they want us to know that unless it's all part of the agenda? I'm dying on this hill, as you can see.
They found out that birds twittering in the morning will help all plant life, like the antennas, because they're giving off a frequency which the plants absorb, and it's a good frequency. The blossoms start opening up. All sorts of wonderful things happen to birds chirping. The rooster crowing the first thing in the morning. It's a wonderful thing. Nature will respond. Well, we're all connected. We're part of nature. That's why go hug a tree when you feel depressed. Listen to the birds chirping away. These are all frequencies which are positive. It will make you feel good. That's why when you go into the forest and you hear the birds in the forest, people, when they go for a walk in the forest, they feel better.
There's no doubt we're disconnected these days. And this is a nice reminder to get out there, touch some grass.
Since November last year, a lot of people have been getting this weird feeling as if there's something off. I don't know what it is. You don't know what it is. Your mom doesn't know what it is. No one knows what it is, but it's as if there's something off. And 2025 literally feels as if we're living in a different dimension or a parallel universe.
Is this true? Do we feel off right now?
So then this lady comes along. This is Cassiopeia7. She's been uploading videos since last week, and she's been going viral. Everyone's talking about it. Actually, she's freaking a lot of people out with this supposed conversation that she's having with this entity called 7.
Contact 3, that's us, fails 29,149 days after Contact 1. 4,324 days in your future, which is May 27th, 2025.
So this thing is making crazy predictions about something that's about to happen in May 2025. And at first I thought, this is ridiculous. This is a LARP or a fake story to grab attention. But the deeper I went into this, the more I found this bizarre connection with this theory that the alien orbs that are supposedly coming from the ocean are actually not coming from the ocean. They're actually leaving Earth for some reason.
The creator of the video that I tagged below said something that is actually terrifying. She said, what if the aliens are not coming? They're leaving.
Then there's this bizarre connection with Aleister Crowley's gray alien entity that he talked to, the alien pods.
Aleister Crowley, a very famous occultist who practiced ritual magic, he conducted a ritual that's called the Amalantra working, and he made contact with an alien named Lamb. This alien entity that he drew out was the first gray alien that was ever depicted. This magic ritual, it goes all the way back to the Book of Enoch. There were these fallen angels, they called the Watchers, and the Watchers came and they taught man how to use magic. And these entities taught them the Enochian language. Crowley said, okay, well, let's talk to these entities using that Enochian language. And he did that many times. For decades and decades, the government had this internal Pentagon group that said, hey, all this alien activity could be demonic in some way.
And this magnetic pole shift that's already happening.
So we live in Florida on the Panhandle, and this is what we're dealing with right now. It has been snowing for 5 hours straight.
This is the wildest thing I think I've ever experienced.
Wow, it's the beach.
So wild.
Crazy.
So this is really wild because it connects a bunch of things that people have never connected before. So what do you think?
Well, we know Harp's working overtime these days, but aliens leaving the Earth. That's a new theory I haven't heard yet. What would that really mean?
We are going to be fighting Terminators.
For sure.
Like you guys who celebrate this AI and all you fucking nerds who were like, oh dude, I could just AI this shit. I could just chat GPT my whole fucking life. You're the dumbest people of society. Literally, you can't fucking think. This is the end of time manifesting in front of our eyes. We're going to be fighting fucking Terminators, bro. I'm dead serious. What do you think's going to happen when they start making robotic soldiers. When AI meets robotics, bro, we are done. We are done. Our jobs are done. Our purpose is done. And it's only going to take these machines a little bit of time to figure out that we're just infesting their world, and we're going to be done.
Is he talking facts?
I've seen so much stuff that's not real. I'm like, okay, I don't know what's real anymore. It's like, especially when it comes to something that's kind of blurry. It's in the sky, and you got people on the ground. I've seen so many fake ones. You know, there's just so many ones that people have generated. You know, I'm friends with Jeremy Corbell, and Jeremy, I always send him like, what the fuck is this? You know, I'll send some stuff to him. Is this bullshit? And, you know, he's very good at like, we don't really know. I am very suspicious because of this. This is what we know. Like, let me send you some things that I know are not fake, but we still don't know what they are, and see the difference. And so we'll have these long conversations and text message or phone calls about stuff like that. But no one seems to be able. There's not like one person you can go to. I mean, you have your people that are dismissing everything. I think it's just hobbyists and crazy people, but if they're not giving off signatures like that are standard with these normal drones, like these heat signatures, and they're able to stay in the sky for hours and hours at a time, just that alone points to, at least if it's not our adversaries, if it's domestic, superior technology that we're not even aware of right now. I mean, how are they staying in the sky for 5 hours? Like, what is if you got like a top of the food chain drone, and who was it that is explaining to us the issue with why China has superior drone technology? It has something to do with the FAA. Was it Andreessen? Well, someone was explaining the reason why most of these like high-end, it might have actually been a green room conversation.
Yeah, I still remember what you're talking about now.
Yeah, so that the FAA and the rules and regulations have sort of stifled the development and the improvement of these domestic drones.
Yeah.
And so most of the hobbyist drones are coming from China. And China, if you haven't seen, has fucking incredible displays of drones.
Yeah,
Where they
they
do like a dragon in the sky. It's amazing. And it is because of regulations. It's because of the FAA dragging their heels, being incompetent, or at least being overwhelmed, where this has not been able to progress domestically the way it's been able to do in China. And so that alone seems like a giant security threat. The fact that China has had just full integration with the government and been able to have this technological innovation that allows their drones to be like super powerful. Like what they're able to do with these displays in the sky, unbelievable. Like really wild stuff to see. That seems like many, many leaps above what we can do.
Is there a reason that we're not being able to access that innovation in the Western world? Like, are they going to use these so-called shows as fake invasions or something like this? And this is what's on my mind. And we've seen these holograms and stuff, but we would be seeing it as entertainment if they weren't going to use it nefariously, I believe.
Wow, so your brain doesn't really know the difference between, say that again?
Between something that happened in real life or something that you strongly visualize.
So you could create enough of a visualization for yourself if you really were to powerfully start to focus on it and do that and build that ability to visualize something that your brain at one point would have to think it's so true that the world would meet you and put it into your life.
I love the way you put that.
Wow.
Remember that. Everyone remember that.
Is it possible for maybe somebody like me or a regular person to disappear from the grid?
Absolutely. Yeah, and it's not as hard as you might think. It's not convenient. Again, convenience and security. You can disappear tomorrow, right? I can walk you through 3 steps right now that's going to help you disappear tomorrow. But none of them are convenient. They're all extremely secure, right? The first thing you do is every piece of digital technology you have that is connected to you in any way is now dead. You just let the battery run out.
Forever.
You never touch it again, starting at this moment. What you have to do is go out and acquire a new one. Realistically, you will not be able to acquire a new one in the United States by buying it, because to do so, you would tie it to your credit card, you would tie it to a location, a time, a place, a registered name, whatever else. So you would have to acquire it essentially by theft or through the black market. So you would want something because you're going to need the advantage of technology without it being in your name.
I thought we were going to get some gems, but basically his advice is destroy your laptop, steal someone else's. I don't condone this message.
I do think that Trump is going to be the one to collapse the old system. So his basically mission for this lifetime is the bringer of chaos. So that's his mission. That is what he is here to do, is to bring and create and cause chaos. That's what we need right now. We don't need someone saying, oh, don't worry about the government. We've got it all figured out. Live your life. Like, we'll figure it out for you. We need someone that causes and creates so much confusion, so much chaos that it leads people to one thing, which is questioning. We need people to be questioning everything right now. And we also need the systems that have been in place that do not serve the collective. We need those to collapse.
It's an interesting theory, but the overall message is good. We do need to question everything. I don't like the idea of the chaos.
Everybody has been talking about this thing where apparently people are saying there is evidence that the elites are having parties where these people are eating mermaids.
Huh?
Yeah. Mermaids. Okay. There's a couple of people that came out online that were basically saying they attended a couple of Hollywood parties, and some of them said they would be super surprised about some of the things they would see, because I guess this one dude and some girl recently came out too saying pretty much the similar story that he said. But this guy came out and said that he went to this Hollywood party and he was there. It was like one of his first times there. And these motherfuckers serving mermaids. And then the craziest part is he ends up going to like the kitchen. He goes into like this cooler that was like really big in the kitchen. He said he opened up the cooler and there was some more like there.
Frozen.
And some of them, were still moving.
What the f?
Like they just got done being, like they just got put in there. And then this girl had a pretty similar story where she said same thing of like these elites are eating these things and it's like a delicacy to these motherfuckers at this party. This is what I thought was super interesting about this. What if they're not actually talking about mermaids and it's code word? They're actually talking about kids. And when they're saying mermaids, everything that they were saying, replace mermaid with kid. They were eating kids at this party like it was normal. The guy goes to the kitchen to get some air, and he goes inside the pool. And there was kids inside the freezer, and some of them are still alive.
Dude, what if you're right? What if they
What
are?
if it's keyword for
a kid?
Like it's code word for kids.
This mermaid thing's kind of getting out of hand, but that's an interesting take. That maybe it's got out of hand on purpose. They want us to be talking like that to kind of steer us away from the whole idea of what these elite parties were kind of led to be believed to be from the Diddy stuff. Or it's just a crazy story that got a few views and other people are just creating stories from it. You don't know anymore these days, but we're here questioning anyway.
Go take a chair, sit in the grass somewhere, be barefoot, do whatever you need to do, but have your feet in the grass. Because the energy from the earth, resonance, is coming up and going into the bottom of your feet and grounding you. You're now synchronized with the earth frequency. But when I had a chance, I would ground myself. How high the tree is, the roots of the tree go that far and wide into the ground. We forget that. We see how high the tree is there, but we don't think about how far the roots go down below. You walk over a carpet and then you touch the door and you get a zap. That's the buildup of an electric charge from the carpet between positive and negative. That's what grounding means. You equalize the positive and the negative. It's like your body equalizing, coming into homeostasis, coming into balance between the positive and the negative. That's what we want. We live in a world that is like that. Lots of negative energy, not enough positive energy. So anything we can do to do this will be helpful. Orgone generators, grounding. They've arranged the world to be like that. So people get really irritable easily. They fly off the handle. They cut you off traffic, They're not that. You get the signs all the time that people are stressed and unbalanced, irritated, yeah.
And then we saw something shiny. And we saw two people. They were in tight black suit. And they had big eyes. And we didn't actually see their nose. It was quite small. And their mouth was quite small as well. One of them was running in slow motion up across the ship. And the other one was standing beside the ship.
Yeah, you made a drawing, huh? It looked like this?
No, yeah, something like that. I couldn't see the eyes or the nose or the mouth. It was just blank, like a piece of paper.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when they came, I thought they were crazy.
Was that the first thing you thought?
I thought they were crazy just coming to our school doing nothing. And all I saw was something like silver coming down. And I said, what must that be? And everybody's crowding it. I must go crowd too. And then I went and I started crowding and everybody, then more people came and more. And then I said, hey, I can't see anymore. Come on. Somebody, I'm short. Come on. And then I went to the front and I started seeing more of them. And then I just ran away.
The day before the spaceship came, my friends and I, we were sitting in the playground, and one of my friends, her name Emily, she looks up into the sky and she said, "Oh, there's a UFO." She said, and I looked at it and she said, "No, just kidding, it's an airplane." And we looked up and I thought to myself, that can't be an airplane because it was very shiny. It looked kind of like a cigarette, you know? It was a long thing, and then on the end it was all shiny. And so I said, maybe it is a UFO. So we were all kind of like getting scared now. And then the day that it happened, then we started thinking, yeah, there must have been a UFO in the sky. Because my brother also saw it, but he's left the school now.
Mm-hmm. It was sort of like a round shape, sort of like a plate, sort of like two plates that were sort of like on top of each other. Then there was sort of like the hole, the hatch for it, and there was sort of like in between two trees. You couldn't see that clearly, and it was just silver all over. And I didn't see any men or something like that.
You saw one UFO that's surrounded by little ones?
Yeah, one big one. One spaceship.
Yeah.
Little ones around.
Yeah, let me see. Let me
This
see
is
your drawing.
fascinating.
One big
One big ship, and then small ones surrounding it with there were lights.
Yeah.
Surrounding the ship.
Like Sean's, huh? This is Sean's drawing.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. And okay, one landed, the big one landed, and the two aliens came out.
Yes.
And what happened with the little ones?
The little ones, they were just flowing around in the air. They didn't touch the ground.
And that, these made the silver lights?
Yeah. They were making different color lights, like green, red. Flash to green, then they'd go to blue, and then purple. Yeah, purple and red. But it was like it was going like each one to each one, but quickly. Yeah, like they'll go there and then it'll vanish, and then it'll go there and vanish, and then vanish.
Oh, really?
But going quickly. Like as if it was one ship moving. Yeah. Places.
Can this drawing?
Come on.
Were they yellow?
No. I didn't have a silver crayon, so I did it yellow.
Yeah. So, but what happened? You came home and you told your parents?
Yes. Some of them didn't believe it. My mom didn't believe me.
Your mom didn't believe you?
My mom also didn't believe me.
Is that hard? Because if you see something and nobody believes you, what happens?
Well, yeah, you feel sad. You feel lost out. You start to think as if it wasn't true. Yeah. And people say to you, no, it wasn't true, so you think it wasn't true. Then you think that you're mad. Yeah.
Yeah.
And after that, you get all upset. Yeah, and everyone starts teasing. And my friends over the road, when I go there and I tell them about it, they just say, oh, he believes in aliens. Oh, he's stupid.
You've seen too many movies.
Yeah.
Was there nobody in your neighborhood who believed you?
Yeah, my mom and dad. My granny and my granddad believed me, but my uncle didn't. Where the spaceship had landed, all the insects and ants and stuff like that were all dead, and there was a huge black mark there. And my mom said it might have just been a fire there, but I don't think there was. I think it was the alien ship.
Yeah. But, you have gone to the place, of course, and have you seen anything?
No, we weren't allowed
An
to.
evidence, I mean, that it was there?
Some other people came to the school and they went out the boundary of the playground and they went to go and see what had happened there. And they saw that
the grass was burnt and all the living things had died there in that area. Him and his parents and his brother and sister all believed me. And my mother just believed me, but my dad didn't believe anything I said. Anything.
And did you describe it to them? Exactly what happened?
Yeah, and I drew it on a paper and I said, Daddy, this is what it looked like. And then he saw it well and he said, Michael, I think you're telling the truth now. And then that's all he said of it, and that's all.
Who was scared? Not all of you, huh? Who was dreaming about it since then?
Yes.
In a bad way?
Bad way.
Yeah, in a bad way? No, tell me first in a bad way. Why? You have nightmares about it?
Yes, I used to, but then after about a year, I stopped dreaming about it.
Mm-hmm.
I dreamt that the same one I saw without hair, he came into my bedroom and he took me from my bed.
Did you dream that?
Yes.
Yeah?
And then I just screamed. I woke up and screamed.
And what did your mom say?
Well, she just kept on saying it was a nightmare. She didn't really believe me. I wasn't scared a bit.
No, not at all.
Nothing. It was all fun to me. I heard this lady on TV. I think it was Jill Dark. And she said this lady got kidnapped and she had babies that were aliens.
That's what you're afraid of.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think the aliens came because they're curious like us. And, well, they want to learn about us and we want to learn about them. Some people say that people are saying that the aliens came to warn us when something's going to happen, that something bad is going to happen to the earth.
Yeah.
I think they came here to try and warn us that the children because we're young.
Got a long time.
We've got a long time till we die. To warn us that when we're older, there's something going to happen to the earth.
Yeah, not to pollute. Because we're young, we can still prevent it.
Yeah.
Have you ever witnessed other life forms?
The most fascinating part for me is how you can get 62 children to agree on a story at least a year later. So this is, I believe, in Zimbabwe in the 90s. This might be one of the best kind of evidence of aliens coming to the planet, because how do you get 62 children to agree like that and to have the exact same story?
About why we shouldn't be putting weapons in space. What was most interesting to me was a repetitive sentence that he said to me over and over again during the approximately 4 years that I had the opportunity of working with him. The strategy that Werner von Braun taught me was that first the Russians are going to be considered to be the enemy. In fact, when I met him in '74, they were the enemy. Then terrorists would be identified, and that was soon to follow. Then we were going to identify third world country crazies. We now call them nations of concern. And the funniest one of all was against what he called aliens, extraterrestrials. That would be the final card. And over and over and over during the 4 years that I knew him and was giving his speeches for him, he would bring up that last card. And remember, Carol, the last card is the alien card. We're going to have to build space-based weapons against aliens. And all of it, he said, is a lie.
I've been looking at videos like this and diving into conspiracies for years. I'm talking early 2000s. And as early as 2009, I've heard stuff about this fake alien invasion, or they're going to use aliens as some sort of fear tactic. And it's kind of crazy how it seems to be playing out right now. I don't know your guys' opinion.
Seen as the godfather of artificial intelligence has quit his job at Google, warning of the dangers of AI.
Does humanity know what it's doing? No. I think we're moving into a period when, for the first time ever, we may have things more intelligent than us.
You believe they can understand?
Yes.
You believe they are intelligent?
Yes.
You believe these systems have experiences of their own and can make decisions based on those experiences?
In the same sense as people do, yes.
Are they conscious?
I think they probably don't have much self-awareness at present. So in that sense, I don't think they're conscious.
Will they have self-awareness, consciousness?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
I think they will in time.
And so human beings will be the second most intelligent beings on the planet.
Yeah. We have a very good idea of sort of roughly what it's doing. But as soon as it gets really complicated, we don't actually know what's going on any more than we know what's going on in your brain.
What do you mean we don't know exactly how it works? It was designed by people.
No, it wasn't. What we did was we designed the learning algorithm. But when this learning algorithm then interacts with data, it produces complicated neural networks that are good at doing things, but we don't really understand exactly how they do those things.
We need to pull the plug.
Every word that comes out of your mouth has 100 to 1,000 times more power than a thought. Because when you speak, the word vibrates into the universe. See, when you think, you're sending out a vibration only through your mind. But when you speak, you have to have the thought as well. So when you speak, not only are you having a thought come from your mind, but the vibration is coming out of your mouth into the physical universe. It's vibrating molecules. It has creative force. You speak things without thinking. So think about what you say. I'm so dumb. Boom. You just spoke that into existence. Things don't work out for me. You just spoke that into existence. I miss all the opportunities. You just spoke that into existence. Think about what you say. You don't even listen to your words. Let me tell you what rich people do. They speak into existence what they want. When you speak things, it is dramatically different than if you just think it. Watch your words.
I definitely need to do that more. Definitely.
As a result of clearances of the Amazon that have been done for farming purposes, those clearances have revealed gigantic earthworks, huge ones, a bit like the henges in Europe, embankments, ditches, and in geometrical forms. So you get enormous squares, enormous circles. You get a circle within a square. They keep repeating these geometrical images, and they're thousands of years old. The team working on this, they reckon that there's thousands of these things still under the rainforest canopy, and there's a huge untold story.
Wow.
He likes his Charlie, doesn't he? Old Stephen.
Who's Stephen?
Stephen Seagal. He likes his Charlie, doesn't he? And his birds, these strippers. He's only had the fucking one in the hole, hasn't he? Huh?
What?
What are you talking about?
What the fuck are you going on about, mate?
Oh, I was just talking about the fella in the hole.
Yeah.
On the 9-yard golf course. He got a hole in one. There's an ace, wasn't it?
What the fuck are you on about, bruv? Are you alright, mate?
No. I'm insane.
You're insane?
Yeah.
What's
Fucking insane, I am.
What's happened, bruv?
What's happened? Someone's been poking my arsehole for the last fucking, wait, it's at least fucking 2 months, 3 months. It's probably, no, it's 4 months. I only found out it's poking my arsehole a few weeks ago. It's been poking at least 4 months. I thought it was 2 months. I thought it was since 1st October. So we're 1 month and 22 days. I knew that, poking my arsehole, but now it goes back to 21st of July. Poking my arsehole.
Mate,
it goes back further than that. It goes back to at least March.
Brother, you alright? Seriously, man? Do you want me to call you a fucking ambulance or something? You don't look right to me, man.
5-4. 5-4, that's it. Oh, time out. 5-4.
Now that is by far the creepiest video that I have covered so far.
It's crazy that you're 72. Like you look like, I don't know, 36 or something. And you're totally jacked. You got like veins coming out of your arm. You can do push-ups all day.
At 72 years old, sweetheart, between now and 28 years, that's what I have. That's the time I have. I had eczema, asthma. I was a wipeout. Couldn't digest my food because I just ate the standard American diet and it was killing me. I could hardly wear anything backless. Now you can hardly keep me out of something backless. And every single month, I broke out in my face like with a rash.
That's
every
crazy
month.
Because your skin is absolutely
Isn't that incredible?
perfection.
Isn't that incredible?
Translucent.
And it was all diet related. It was all diet related. Unbelievable. I have a lot of belief in eating food live. I know that is the best food for me to grab hold to, because I know that every time I'm cooking something to certain temperatures, I'm killing the life in that food. Everything just got easier. And then with the movement, I got stronger. I don't care what name you give a disease, you're pretty much just inflamed. I love me, so I'm going to find out what caused the eczema, what caused the asthma, and I stay clear of those things because now I don't want to hurt me, the individual, by ingesting those things that are going to cause me issues. I am just an expression of my creator. Let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food. To be able to say that I'm 72 and enjoy each and every moment of my time on this planet in this form, it's just amazing.
Never too late. That's crazy.
Turns out what the ancients were trying to tell us is that Earth is actually made up of two planets, one 6,000 years old and the other 4.5 billion years old. And these two Earths are of different energy states. One is a very high energy state, one a low energy state. In the scriptures, they're called a spirit Earth and a temporal Earth. One day, this day, right now, 21st century, they would come apart.
Well, what do you mean come apart? Physically?
Yes, physically, the higher vibrational Earth would become dissident with the lower vibrational Earth, and they would separate, just like the human spirit separates from the human body. Earth is about ready to either go through birth or go through death.
You're not predicting that planet Earth is going to split physically, are you?
Not split down the middle. It's more like phase apart. Two whole planets will go separate ways in space. One higher vibrational, one lower vibrational.
Literally?
Yes.
What does that do to all of us on this planet?
All of us, obviously, are going to be divided. We are going to choose which Earth to go with. The ones that will align themselves with the higher vibration or spiritual Earth will become unaware of the darker and more temporal but more murderous spirits. And they will remain with their respective Earth.
I'm pretty certain that's not Joe Rogan's voice, but I have heard this theory many times. It would make sense that we should start the year in the beginning of spring rather than the winter. And it would also make sense maybe that they do this on purpose to kind of throw us off natural rhythm with the rest of the nature. Maybe. I don't know if that would do anything. But then the month thing we've covered before, there should definitely be more months.
Have you ever heard of third man syndrome?
No.
Okay. Super, super weird. So third man syndrome has been explained by scientists of a kind of a weird phenomenon that happens with mountain climbers, right? So these people who are climbing on mountains who are on the edge of death or edge of just giving up have experienced very similar things at different times, unrelated to each other, where they see a person or a figure that motivates them, encourages them, or gives them proper advice to continue moving forward.
This happened like a lot?
This happens many times. There's many counts of it. I saw an article about it, and there are people like, okay, my parents weren't mountain climbing, but this happened and it cannot be explained. And then I read on further, and then I found a story that was corroborated, everything by, there was a ton of magazine articles about it, news articles about it. And it was this woman who had heard a voice in her head that said, go see a doctor about your brain. Something to those, like that effect. Go see a doctor. And so she was depressed. She was having some trouble. So she went to a psychiatrist, got some medication or whatever, and it started helping, right? Like she just started feeling better. But then it came back and there was two voices and they were very kind. They weren't malicious at all. And they gave her more specific instructions. They said, go back to the doctor, go to this place.
Oh.
It was a specific part
Weird.
of the London hospital that dealt with brain injuries and just the brain. Said the voices told her that she had a tumor. They discovered a tumor.
Oh my gosh.
And they were able to remove it. And then she continued to leave. And then when she went home, she heard the voice one more time for the rest of her life. And it said, we were glad to be of service.
Wow. Is this proof of maybe a guardian angel, or maybe proof that we're multidimensional? So maybe that's like our higher self speaking to us, or some sort of guardian angel. Like I say, who knows? Either way, that's heartwarming. and creepy.
There are bones that aren't human right there in the Vatican.
There are bones that are not human 5 miles underground in the Vatican archives. A few have had access, but most of them couldn't reveal what they saw until a man stepped up years ago. He spoke on a History Channel documentary where he claimed the Vatican holds bones that aren't human, texts no one has read, documents detailing lost technology, flying machines, and knowledge hidden for centuries. During the Inquisitions, it wasn't just people being silenced, it was progress. Over 80 million killed, 7 centuries of control. If not for that suppression, humanity could have reached the moon in the 1800s, or faked the moon landing, whatever the case may be. I traveled to the Australian outback, spoke with Aboriginal elders. Their oral history? They weren't born here. They were placed here. Then I visited the Lakota tribe in America. Their story the same. 2 civilizations, worlds apart, yet they share the same origin. No contact, no shared records, yet the same truth. So what else is being hidden?
This is just a theory.
I would love nothing more than to go through the Vatican archives. I reckon the whole of the world's history is in there. What I also find strange is that the Vatican City is its own country. And I feel like that's intentional, just to keep everything hidden. No one can really step on their toes. What's in there, man? What is in there?
And I won't go into too much detail, but he says, look, the sun's not going down. He says, you saw the sun come back up, right? I said, yeah. What's with that? He says, well, it's not going back down all night. You're going to see it off the left side, and it's going to come around off the nose, and by Honolulu tomorrow morning, it's going to be about 2 o'clock off the nose, and it'll be coming up. Really? What about the spin of the Earth? And the captain over there in the co-pilot seat, he looked at me and says, spin? He says, the Earth don't spin. You don't read your Bible? Now, that shut me up big time right there because I hadn't read the Bible ever, okay? So I didn't know what it said. You know, don't you read your Bible? Okay, great. You got my work cut out for me. So we get to Honolulu, and, you know, the only thing that spun on me when we got to Honolulu was my head because I saw the sun all night. It didn't go down. The Earth ain't spinning, and there's no curve. So I get out of the plane, and he says, oh, one more thing. He says, if the Earth is supposed to be round, like they say, okay, it's 8 inches per mile squared. That's the math on the curvature. Go find it. Look for it and go find it. The first thing I did was I got up the next day and I went out to the North Shore and I was looking for Kauai because I'd seen it before. And there it is, Kauai, 108 miles away. It's 5,400 feet high. So it's above, well, first of all, it should be below about 400 feet below the horizon. Okay. And I could see all the way to the beach on Kauai from 108 miles away. And so now here I am. You know, I'm a bona fide flat earther because I can't deny it. I can't deny it. And see, that's the problem with flat earthers. They go out and look, and now they come back.
A lot of these kind of horizon tests have been debunked from my knowledge on the flat earth, but you hear a lot of pilots talking about how the earth is flat, and the Bible says the earth is flat, and it says it has a firmament. Firmament, I'm not sure. I'm not really sure. I'm not a flat earther, but I'm definitely on the fence or on the ice wall, I guess.
Why this rage against you now? First they hated him, now they hate both of you.
Well, I think we're seeing an antibody reaction from those who are receiving the wasteful and fraudulent money.
They're being exposed.
Yes. I'll tell you a lesson I learned at PayPal. You know who complained the quickest and the loudest and with the most amount of righteous indignation? The fraudsters.
We have got to tell Elon Musk, nobody elected your ass.
That's who complained first, loudest, and they would generally have this immense overreaction.
We cannot allow Elon Musk.
That's how we knew they were the fraudsters. Mm-hmm. That's how we knew. There's to tell.
Damn. Wow. I mean, Elon's kind of in the firing line right now, but he seems to be like he wants the smoke. Clearly wants the smoke.
Man, I hope he is the guy I think he is. But I've said previously, this could be all just a way of convincing us to trust the guy that's going to take us to space. Who knows?
The Earth is flat. Well, prove it. Okay, here we go. Here's some more footage of the Earth from outer space. This is a private balloon that was sent up to outer space. This isn't NASA. This isn't the government. This is just a normal person that wanted to see what it looks like. And oh, what do you know? It's absolutely flat from up there. And it's just funny because if
I mean, it does look flat, but it also isn't enough of the planet to potentially see the curvature. Like, I'm not necessarily against flat Earth or a globe, whatever you want to call it, but that's not enough. I don't think. I don't know your guys' opinion, but that could easily still be a globe. Does look different to what NASA shows you, though.
if it's curved, I mean, you got to understand that if it's curved, it would be curved, and it isn't. And people just love to say, "Well, it's curved." Then they say, "Well, you can't see it from far away." And then you have people saying, "You can see it with your naked eye. You can see it from an airplane. You can't see it."
I mean, that around the outside there, just underneath where you can see the sun, that could just be light or some sort of gas making it seem flatter. It could just, the Earth could be curving underneath that. You know what I mean? Again, I'm not trying to debunk flat Earth. That is good evidence of flat Earth. I'm just saying it could still be a globe.
Can't see it from hundreds of thousands of feet. You can't see it here because it's not curved. That's all. Very simple. We've been deceived. Learn about it and understand why. Understand who controls the narrative. Understand that people like George Soros own all the news. Understand that it only takes a few people that own everything to create whatever fantasy land they want and then hand it to us. And that's what we see. That's what we get taught. That's what we believe. It's that simple. Because the fact of the matter is, when you try to find the curve, you can't. There isn't one.
I mean, it's interesting. It doesn't look curved. What would be the main reason to deceive us on the shape of the Earth, I wonder? To make us seem lesser than we really are?
The moon isn't a rock, okay?
Okay.
The first time I ever went over to the moon, at that point, I'd only ever remote viewed on planet.
Okay, let's stop straight away. This woman claims to be a astral projector or a remote viewer. I think they're basically the same thing. I don't understand how she can just casually discuss this on a podcast. I've seen a couple videos of her recently. But before we get into this, I want to start by saying I don't necessarily believe her, but it is kind of creepy.
On Earth stuff, I never even thought of going off planet to remote view. But then this Pleiadian being came into my room and said, there's a meeting in 2 days' time, and I want to take you to this meeting. And I said, okay, I'm down. And I wasn't sure, are they going to physically abduct me and take me to the meeting? Am I going in my remote view body, my astral body? And I followed him with my astral body. I'm going off planet. Often we're going towards the moon. I'm like, oh, cool. It's a meeting on the moon. No. It was a meeting inside the moon.
What?
So literally he keeps going, and then he's going in the moon. And I'm like, can I do this? Can we just travel right through a planet? What's going on? And so we go in the moon, and it's hollow. There was this huge hollowed out space in the moon, and there was all these beings. We're talking hundreds of thousands of interdimensional beings, sitting in this sort of auditorium inside the moon.
What?
I know. And then there was all these astral bodies that were floating around, and I could see that their grounding cord all led them back to Earth. So I'm like, I'm one of the Earth beings that are here, that are called to this meeting. And that was my first introduction to the Galactic Federation.
Now, why, if she is chosen to be someone to have meetings at the moon, why would she be just doing a podcast? And why would she be so chill about it? Imagine if you were someone of that importance and you didn't know, like you wasn't necessarily born into that, you would be somewhat distraught trying to share the message. You wouldn't just be casually on a podcast. Yeah, so like the moon was hollow. I have a hard time believing this.
This is the biggest unsolved mystery in music history. 4 world-famous artists, 4 deaths under troubling circumstances. Tim Bergling, Chester Bennington, Anthony Bourdain, Chris Cornell, they were all closely connected, and almost all of them died mysteriously within the same year. But there's something even crazier. All 4 were secretly working on a documentary called Silent Children. In one of my last videos, I told you about the dark story behind DJ Avicii and the many warnings he tried to give about child trafficking, but no one listened. And Avicii wasn't the only one. 3 other artists also tried to expose what they knew and what they had seen. Strangely, right after announcing they were working on Silent Children, they all disappeared within roughly the same time frame. Chester Bennington and Chris Cornell died in 2017. Avicii and Anthony Bourdain in 2018. It's as if someone made sure they were silenced before they could reveal the truth. The Silent Children documentary was eventually released in 2020, 2 years after their deaths. If you think about it for just 10 seconds, you'll realize that the film was likely edited for 2 years before its release to remove the most sensitive information. Yeah, this is the truth, and nobody talks about it.
And we see this so often now in the world. People have certain information and they just suddenly disappear. I mean, when's enough enough? Like, when do we start realizing like someone is out there stopping information coming out?
You're saying humans are just lab rats, that something or someone is keeping us in check?
I mean, hell yeah, think about it. Every time we get too close to a major breakthrough, something happens. Let's start with the Great Library of Alexandria.
Right, the library that had knowledge from across the ancient world burned down?
Exactly, but do you really think it was just an accident? That place had texts on medicine, engineering, even possible blueprints for machines we only rediscovered centuries later. If that knowledge survived, we could have had the Industrial Revolution thousands of years earlier.
So you think someone erased it? Why?
Because we weren't meant to progress too fast. Look at the Maya. They had advanced knowledge of astronomy, mathematics, even concepts of zero before most civilizations. Then they just vanished. Their cities left abandoned overnight. Or take Nikola Tesla. He was working on wireless energy that could make electricity free for everyone. But his funding, cut. His lab mysteriously burned down. We're in a giant lab watched from above for entertainment purpose only.
I've not personally actually heard of the Great Library of Alexandria yet. I need to look into that for sure. Are we in a simulation? I mean, there's a lot of evidence to suggest we are. And mainstream scientists these days are kind of leaning towards that now. And if we are a simulation from who? From God or from another race? Or are we in a video game right now? Are we just NPCs?
The movie The Matrix is not science fiction. It's a documentary. Every human, and it's a fact, every human first 7 years is download hypnosis. The brain of a child under 7 is in a lower vibrational frequency. When you put wires on a person's head, you read electroencephalograph, reading brain activity. A child below 7 has a lower vibration than consciousness. It's called theta. Theta is imagination. Oh, that's how kids play a tea party with mud pies. But to them, it's a real thing. A kid rides a broom. It's a horse. That's theta, imagination. Theta is also hypnosis. And the idea is this. Before you can become conscious, if you don't have any programs, what are you going to be conscious of?
I've heard a lot of information on the idea of 7-year life cycles. So every 7 years, we kind of progress into a new cycle. I think it's more of a spiritual thing, but it's nice to know that science kind of links to that. So at least the first 7 years is proof that we are in a different cycle. Clearly suggests how important it is to look after your kids in them precious ages, because obviously whatever happens in those 7 years will affect you for life.
Do you know what really helps? Creatine, apparently.
Does it?
Yeah, creatine is actually a nootropic, believe it or not. There's a lot of like benefits of creatine that are really weird.
Are there any downsides?
No, it's
well
a natural part of food. Yeah, especially women. For women, apparently, especially postmenopausal women, it's very beneficial.
Okay.
But there's a lot of like cognitive benefits, and one of the big ones that they found recently is performance when sleep deprived. Mental performance when sleep deprived increases pretty measurably when you supplement with creatine.
I've been taking creatine for 20 years probably, on and off. And I never knew that it helped you with your brain as well. That's good to know.
What is the God frequency?
963 hertz. 9 plus 6 plus 3, that's 18. 1 plus 8 is 9. The whole set of these numbers, pretty much like, think of it, 432, 4 plus 3 plus 2, 9. 7920, 7 plus 9 plus 2, 18. Look at the yugas. I said 864,000 for the Dwapara Yuga. 8 plus 6 plus 4, 18. 1 plus 8 is 9. The Treta Yuga, 1,296,000. So 1 plus 2 plus 9 plus 6, 18. 1 plus 8 is 9, over and over again.
This numerology stuff kind of goes over my head, I won't lie. But with the whole frequency stuff, especially with what's just come out with pyramids, I'm going to do a video on that tomorrow. Clearly, in the past, frequency was a massive importance in healing and stuff. Like, I don't know if anyone knew the church windows you see, these weird kind of patterns and stuff. They actually were back in the day to depict what type of frequency that church held. So if you wanted to heal in a certain way, you would go to a certain church based on the windows. Like, clearly frequency was so important at some point in life, and it's just disappeared now. Like, I've even heard that recent, or at least in my lifetime, hip hop has changed, or music has changed. Like, I think Jimi Hendrix used to do his music in a certain frequency, and around that time things kind of changed to kind of lower our vibrations. Definitely something to look into. I need to know more about it myself.
You have a photo of the ET? Yes, ET was about 2 feet from me, 3 feet from me. Sort of very triangular head, about 5.5 feet tall. Popped in, we saw this red light come right into our circle, and then a photograph taken, and this ET is standing right beside this man, and he had permanent hearing loss since he was a teenager, and he was fixed that night by this ET. That's a true story. Were you there? Yeah, I was there. So we're dealing with civilizations that are, 100,000 to a few million years ahead of us. If people had known the truth about this 50, 60 years ago, we wouldn't be, like in kindergarten still. So that blackened area is sort of a bubble in space-time, and you can see the people on either side of him. We just turned up the contrast. Very large head, sort of triangular shape, has a sort of a cloth tunic that's lit up. He's holding some object, and this man right next to him to the left of how you're looking had his hearing healed. So I mean, you say, oh, there's a wacky story. It's a beautiful story. It just happened a couple years ago.
What am I looking at? Did he just say that photo was whilst he was bending space-time? I don't see anything but blur. And this is what we have to hold on to. So guys like Stephen Greer are like the main guys in this. And he just doesn't give you anything. It's like he's making a business out of teasing the public, basically. Like, nothing real ever seems to come out. I might be eating my words soon, because this might be the year. But this just doesn't make sense to me. What is that? But that's it for today. More tomorrow. Take it easy. Peace.
Please stop coming with that righteous talk. You're outdated. You sound like a Flintstone. That's the way it is now. That's the in code. And if you don't like it, then why you even involved? I'll stay silent then.